So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 7, entitled What Prahlad Learned in the Womb. And today we're reading from text number 42. So everyone can read that. Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sadapnoti haya dukkam.
Sadapnoti haya dukkam.
Sadapnoti haya dukkam.
Sadapnoti haya dukkam.
Anihaya sukhavrata.
Anihaya sukhavrata.
Anihaya sukhavrata.
Anihaya sukhavrata.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sadopnita haya dukkam.
Sadapnoti haya dukkam.
Anihaya sukhavrata.
Anihaya sukhavrata.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sadapnoti haya dukkam.
Sadapnoti haya dukkam.
Anihaya sukhavrata.
Anihaya sukhavrata. Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya. Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya. Sankalpa iha karmina. Sankalpa iha karmina. Sadapnoti haya dukkam. Sadapnoti haya dukkam. Anihaya sukhavrita. Anihaya sukhavrita.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sada apnoti ihaya dukkam.
Sadapnoti haya dukkam.
Anihaya sukhavrata.
Anihaya sukhavrita.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sankalpa iha karmina.
Sadapnoti haya dukkam.
Sadapnoti haya dukkam.
Anihaya sukhavrata.
Anihaya sukhavrita. Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya. Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya. Sankalpa iha karmina. Sankalpa iha karmina. Sadapnoti haya dukkam. Sadapnoti haya dukkam. Anihaya sukhavrita. Anihaya sukhavrita.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya.
Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya. Sankalpa iha karmina. Sadapnoti haya dukkam. Anihaya sukhavrita.
Sukhaya
Sukhaya
happiness
for achieving happiness
by a so-called higher standard
by a so-called higher
of
standard
life,
of life,
dukkha mokshaya,
Dukkhamokshaya,
for becoming free from misery,
for becoming free from misery,
sankalpa,
sankalpa,
the
determination,
iha,
iha,
in this world,
karmina,
of the living entity,
of the living entity,
trying for economic development,
sada,
always, apnoti,
achieves,
ihaya, by activity or ambition, dukkam, only unhappiness, anihaya, and from not desiring economic development, sukha, by happiness, avrita, covered. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Basic Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Translation: in this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminish his distress, and therefore he acts accordingly. Actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. As soon as one begins his activities for happiness, his conditions of distress begin. Purport: every conditioned soul is bound by the laws of material nature, as described in Bhagavad Gita, Prakrite Kriyamanani Gune Karmani Sharvasha. Everyone has achieved a certain type of body given by material nature according to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara Sarvabhutana Vriddesa Arjuna Tisthiti Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Antararudhani Maya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities, who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Bhagavad Gita 1861. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul, is present in everyone's heart, and as the living entity desires, the Lord gives him facilities with which to work according to his ambitions in different grades of bodies. The body is just like an instrument by which the living entity moves according to false desires for happiness, and thus suffers the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease in different standards of life. Everyone begins his activities with some plan and ambition, but actually from the beginning of one's plan to the end, one does not derive any happiness. On the contrary, as soon as one begins acting according to his plan, his life of distress immediately begins. Therefore, one should not be ambitious to dissipate the unhappy conditions of life, for one cannot do anything about them. Ahankara vibhudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Although one is acting according to false ambitions, he thinks he can improve his material conditions by his activities. The Vedas enjoin that one should not try to increase happiness or decrease distress, for this is futile. One should work for self-realization, not for economic development, which is impossible to improve. Without endeavor, one can get the amount of happiness and distress for which he is destined, and one cannot change this. Therefore, it is better to use one's time for advancement in the spiritual life of Krishna consciousness. One should not waste his valuable life as a human being. It is better to utilize this life for developing Krishna consciousness without conditions for so-called happiness. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. With your permission, I'll try to share a few words. Srila Prabhupada's wonderful purport. So here we're reading the chapter, What Prahlad Learned in the Womb. As we know, Hiranyakashipu was a great demon, and when his wife Kayadu was bearing a child which was about to be born, then the whole universe was very, very scared. Because they say, like father, like son. So if the father is like Hiranyakashipu, imagine what the son will be like. And therefore all the demigods were saying, before this child is even born, kill the child. Because it will be a great disturbance to the universe. But then a very special personality comes along to intercept the whole situation. Who is that?
Narada
Muni. So Narada Muni says, no, there's no need to kill this child. This child is actually a great Vaishnava, a great devotee. So then Narada Muni takes Kayadu to the ashram, and then Narada Muni begins to start preaching and teaching Prahlad while he's in the womb of his mother Kayadu. And all the teachings that Narada Muni gave to Prahlad, while Prahlad was still in the womb, all of those teachings are being expressed here by Prahlad, who is speaking to his schoolmates at school. So that's what we're hearing, everything that Prahlad learned in the womb from the great preacher Narada Muni. Narada Muni is the best preacher. If you want to know how to be a preacher, if you want to know how to really be able to give Krishna consciousness to others, then Narada Muni is the best example. Narada Muni can preach to anyone. Narada Muni can preach to kings. Anyone know a king that Narada Muni preached to?
Prachina Bharisha.
Prachina Bharisha. Any other king? Yudhishthira also. Chitraketu. Kamsa. Isn't it? We're also preaching to Kamsa. So Narada Muni can preach to kings, and he can preach to very, very low class people also. Who's a low class person, famous person that Narada Muni preached to? Magrari the hunter. Who's a hunter? So Narada Muni can preach to the most cultured and the least cultured. Narada Muni can preach to the youngest and the oldest. Who's the youngest Narada Muni preached to?
Prahlad.
Prahlad in the womb. And who's an old person that Narada Muni preached to? I'm thinking of one, an old person that doesn't even die. Anyone know?
Krishna?
Krishna. Well, it doesn't even die in the sense that while the material manifestation is here, he's ever existing. Dhruva, yes. Dhruva he preached to, but Dhruva he preached when he was a child. Hanuman, no. Vyasadeva, isn't it? Spiritual master Vyasadeva, isn't it? Vyasadeva is a Chiranjiva. While the material manifestation is there, Vyasadeva does not die. So actually I said, even if you go to the Himalayas today, you can try, Vyasadeva is still living there, somewhere in the Himalayas. Because he's a Chiranjiva. Never dies. 7 personalities are like that. Ashvatam, Vyasadeva, then some others, I can't remember all the names. So he can speak to the young and the old, the rich and the poor. Narada Muni can preach very, very directly, and he can preach very, very indirectly also. Who did he preach to very directly and told them, just give up the world?
The sons of, many sons of the Daksha who killed Daksha.
Yes. Isn't it? He preached to all the Haryashvas and the Sabalashvas that why are you going to go into family life? You're already renunciates, you're already doing so much austerity, just remain, just give it all up. Daksha became very angry. And he cursed Narada Muni, you will not be able to stay in one place. And therefore Narada Muni keeps moving. And Prabhupada said, the parents of my disciples also cursed me in the same way. And therefore I'm carrying on, I'm always moving. So he preached very, very directly to some, and how did he preach indirectly to others? Any idea? He preached very indirectly. Bridge preaching.
There was this, I forgot the name, but it was to a king, and then he gives an analogy of some other king.
Right. So when he's preaching to Prachina Bharisha, then he's giving the story of Puranjan, isn't it? Who is living in the city of 9 gates. We were just in Glastonbury Music Festival and Mahavishnu Maharaj was there. And he does a wonderful story on the city of 9 gates. It's a song. And so at one point in the tent, in the kirtan tent, there were 200 people. They didn't know anything about Krishna consciousness. But Maharaj, he had this song, and the song was, I'm living in the city of 9 gates. What am I supposed to do? This was the song. So he had 200 people singing the chorus. He would say, we're living in the city of 9 gates, and then 200 people would say, what am I supposed to do? That was a whole song, you know. He'll be here tomorrow. So he can preach directly in that. So do you see, Narad Muni is such an amazing preacher. In fact, his name, his very name, Narada. Nara means Narayan, and Da means, like if we say Dan,
one who gives.
One who gives. So literally his name means one who gives Narayan to others. That's his name, one who gives Narayan. So Narada is the best preacher. If anyone wants to know how to be a preacher, following the footsteps of Narada Muni. And Prahlad is the best disciple, very receptive. So when you have someone who's a very elevated spiritual person, and then the person on the other side is very receptive, then Krishna consciousness comes about very easily. These two things are needed. Sometimes if the receptivity of the person you're preaching to is very low, but the qualification of the preacher and the desire of the preacher is very, very high, then still it can happen. And sometimes if the qualification of the preacher is very, very low, but the receptivity of the person is very, very high, then still Krishna consciousness can happen. It's like book distribution. If someone is totally uninterested, but the book distributor is very sincere, very compassionate, very connected to Krishna, then their high qualifications can still convince the person to take a book. And even sometimes you see when you're distributing books and on the street you're completely out of it. You completely have no desire, nothing. Sometimes someone comes up to you and says, give me one of the books. So even if the preacher is very low, but the receptivity of the person is high, then still Krishna consciousness can take place. But here, in this situation, both are there. Prabhupada was the best preacher because his qualification was so high. He was able to, sometimes they said to Prabhupada, how was it that we took to Krishna consciousness? What qualification did we have? Prabhupada said he had no qualification. I made your qualification by my intense desire. It's like next year is the 50th anniversary of ISKCON. So we know ISKCON started in 26 2nd Avenue, right? So one time what happened in the late mid-70s is that they actually lost that building, Matchless Gifts. Has anyone been to that building?
Yes.
Yes. They actually lost this building. So then Prabhupada said to the devotees, go back and purchase that building. Because that's a tirtha, that's a place of pilgrimage, that's where the whole society started. So the devotees went back to the person who owned 26 2nd Avenue and they said, we want to buy it. And this person, he was very smart. He knew that this is a very important place for them, So then he started putting the price so high, like 5-10 times what it should be. So the devotees were bewildered. They went back to Prabhupada and they said, he's asking extortionate amount for this building. Prabhupada said, no, you should buy it. The devotee said, even when we buy it, what will we do? This building is in such a terrible neighborhood. There's prostitutes, there's drug dealers, there's criminals, there's all kinds of uneducated people, it's full of homeless people. Like, what's the point of having this building anyway? Prabhupada said, but all of you became devotees, didn't you? You were the same prostitutes, you were the same criminals, you were the same drug dealers, you were the same homeless people. You all became devotees. So don't tell me it's a bad neighborhood, no one's going to become a devotee. You became devotees. The Bible says there's no argument, you should buy that place. So we're living in a very nice neighborhood, it was mentioned this morning. But even if you weren't living in a nice neighborhood, good neighborhood, bad neighborhood, for a preacher, everywhere is great field for giving Krishna consciousness because of the intense desire. So Narmani is the best preacher. He's preaching to Prahlad. And here in this verse, he's telling us, or he's telling Prahlad, and Prahlad's telling his schoolmates, an amazing teaching. What is that amazing teaching that Prahlad's been given and is now giving? Sukhaya dukha mokshaya sankalpa iha karmana. He's saying people are in this world basically engaged in trying to do two things. One thing is increase their happiness, and another thing is reduce their distress. Every single endeavor in the world is for this purpose only. And Prahlad says it's all a big waste of time. So that's quite significant. Here Prahlad is saying that the two things that every single person under the sun is trying to do, these two things are actually complete waste of time. Because he's saying that actually the amount of distress that you'll experience in this life and the amount of happiness that you'll experience in this life, at least materially, is already fixed. And therefore you don't need to endeavor. If it will come, it will come. And if it won't come, no matter how hard you try, it won't come.